No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Parte Del Piero, rete! Del Piero!
Pallone con i contagini per Nedved,
Pirlo, la conclusione in rete! Andrea Pirlo! Un gol pazzesco! Del Piero! Gol! Alex! Del Piero! Sulla compagna di Pogacar, Pogba! Rete! Un gol incredibile! Pogba fa esplodere lo Juventus Stadium!
Ciao tifosi bianconeri. Welcome to episode 289 of the Turin Giants podcast. I'm your host for this episode, Kevin, and I'm joined by Zach, Damiano, and Farhad. It's weird introducing you when you're here, but Farhad, thanks for being here, man, on your own podcast.
We'll switch it up for episode or two. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having him on his own podcast. It's like you're in timeout or something.
It's the people's podcast. Yeah, I put myself in timeout. I'll shut up for this one. I'll be a listener and just enjoy you guys talking about today's game.
I don't know how much there is going to, how much enjoyment there's going to be had on this one. We didn't learn our lesson. The good lesson we had after the 4-0 home kind of drubbing from Atalanta. We said, nope, we're not going to get together and talk about that one. We'll let our emotions kind of subside. We'll let time pass, and we'll come and record an episode a couple days later. And that one was great. I really liked 288. If you guys haven't had a chance to catch that one, that was actually a really, really fun recording. But against our better judgment, we are here to talk about the dumpster fire of the collapse in Florence. So we're here to break it down. What are you guys drinking? Because I just I couldn't get through this one without a little assistance. So I've got a little bit of Woodford bourbon.
I got
here.
me a little coffee going.
Oh, he's getting hyped up.
Different directions.
Yeah.
I've like a good immigrant son-in-law. I've been doing shots with my father-in-law earlier, so it's just water for me today. You're not really a good son-in-law if you don't do shots with your father-in-law every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm rocking some lovely 18-year Florida Canya rum, a go-to for very happy and very sad events. So
yeah, we kind of found out about each other's drinking habits this in the last thread on WhatsApp, which was really fun. We found out Zach is a rum guy. I feel like our listeners don't know much about us, so every once in a while we need to let them into our private lives. So rum guy, Zach. Kevin, you got the bourbon or whiskey? Which one? Which I don't know.
I'm normally like really into like wine and craft beer, but had to go a different route for
to numb the pain. Kevin's got the new artwork in the background, which is so awesome. Little GG, by the way. If you want to, please watch this on YouTube as well and Spotify with video. I'm done.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Actually, you're not done because
no, he's not. He's not done.
You have something to promote, don't you?
Yes. So these shirts that we just released, the Delle Alpi shirts, designed by Dan Colosimo. They've been going pretty well. Just gave one to Giovanni. I was actually drinking earlier with Giovanni as well. Had some beers for brunch. We went to brunch, six boys for brunch. That was really fun. Yeah, Delle Alpi. I didn't show the front. The quality is amazing. I've been wearing mine like all week. It's been awesome, getting compliments. And TurinGiants.com, please go purchase your Delle Alpi shirt. Don't hesitate, please. Great quality, great design. Thanks for letting me plug that, Kevin.
Absolutely. I just placed my order, and I look forward to it.
Yes,
coming.
sir. Thank you.
Mine's on
if
white,
you're
too.
not
What color did
watching
you get?
this on Spotify or YouTube and you're just listening, make sure you do check out turngiants.com to see the shirt. It's really awesome. One of the better ones you've done, Farhad.
I got a question on it. We obviously have listeners all across the world. Is there any limitation if our listeners in Australia or Denmark or anything want to get their hands on it?
Good question. I am trying to promote turingiants.com a little more, and thank you guys for letting me steal the podcast a little bit. So, I did worldwide shipping. However, if it's a risky country with sketchy post office that probably won't get there, I do it by request. If someone writes to me, hey, do you deliver to so and so? I'll tell them I will send it. I'll send you the proof, but I am not responsible if it doesn't get there, and we'll probably do some kind of insurance or whatever. But yeah, we ship worldwide. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So we're going to get into this. And I thought a interesting way of starting this would be going through Gazzetta dello Sport's ratings of the players, just to set the tone for what we're about to get into. Our highest rated player, Kolomuani, with a 5.5. Then you go down the rest of the team. Nico 4, Loka 4, Koopmeiners 4, Turam 4.5, McKennie 4.5, Weah 4.5, Kalulu 5, Vega 4.5, Kelly 4, Di Gregorio 5. Everybody in the red, nobody over 5.5. That stands out. Fagioli 8, best player on the pitch. Kane with the 7.
Yeah, I was about to say that 44 for the La Viola looked like a solid footballer, guys. I don't know about you. 2 assists today, looked really composed in the midfield. I was kind of thinking we could use a player like that. Maybe that was just me.
I don't know, a player that can create, looks composed, confident on the ball.
I just had to get
that
that
offensive and defensive.
I just had to get that off my chest, guys. I just had to get that one off my chest.
Not like we
No
didn't have him,
more about Fagioli. We all know that I really liked him, and I really, really, really was pissed that we sold him. But I just had to get that off my chest. I'm done.
So normally we start kind of assessing the starting lineup, our reactions to that. Zach gives a bit of a tactical take on how we approach the match, and our conversation naturally unfolds from there. We're going to do it a little bit different this time, and we're actually going to kind of recap some of the reactions from our sporting director, from our coach, and from Il Nostro Capitano, Alessandro Del Piero, and some of the comments there. So we'll recap a little bit of that, and then we will kind of offer our own opinion on what we heard. So let's actually start with our own one and only Alessandro Del Piero. He was on Sky Sports afterwards. The headline, and I'm looking at the Gazzetta dello Sport, so the famous pink paper in Italy, and just translating this into English. Del Piero harsh. Juve, you can't miss a reaction when you're punched. So the words of the captain, Alessandro Del Piero, guest in Sky Studios, harshly comments on the collapse of his Juve in Florence. A 3-0 without reply, which leaves heavy questions about the future of Malta's team. It's difficult to comment on a moment like this, even if we've seen it too. What struck me, and it also happened against Atalanta, is that there was no reaction to the opponent's shots. And this means that you are in a very, very low state. There was no reaction on the bench either. The changes were 3 defenders. You're losing 3-0 and you change 3 defenders. There must be a reason for this too. The fact is that there cannot be a lack of reaction when you're being punched. Clear words, words of a captain. Zach, what's your take?
He's absolutely right, because when you in over 2 games score 0 goals and concede 7, there's something wrong. And when you look at Juventus's play, they started both games okay, I guess, but perhaps unfairly they concede first, a penalty against Atalanta, the corner kick today, and we saw absolutely no change after those goals. No change in how they played tactically, no change in how they played individually, no change in their tactical performance against Atalanta. It was a game of unforced errors that just continued happening. There was no change in energy. There was no real attacking intent in either game. I think below 1 expected goals in both games. There was no defensive bite. We just let them go through us like a hot knife through butter. And that's really indicative to me of a team with a degree of either complacency, which would seem weird considering we lost against Atalanta. And so I'm more so to the flip side of it, not complacency, but rot, festering and eating away at confidence, at motivation, at purpose, because we didn't see any indication that those existed from the coach or the players and how they've responded over the course of these 2 games and within the games. And if you may, we've talked a lot about our front office, and I know we haven't gotten to June Tilly's comments yet, and I know we will. We've talked a lot about Mota, but I kind of want to talk about the players here. Where's your pride? Where's your hunger? Where is your demonstration that you belong on this pitch? Even if they're clueless about the tactics, there was absolutely no look in any of the players' eyes that they even wanted to be there. They all just showed up, hoped that they would get a result. When they went down, they just kept playing the same way, letting in goal after goal with no change, with no desperation. And that was appalling to me. And beyond that, I've struggled to put into words my frustration over these 2 games' performances.
Damiano, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, frustration. I have so much to say, but it's just too much. Yeah, we're down 3-0, and we're defending a 3-0 lead. That we're defending a 3-0 deficit. Excuse me. Unfathomable. Like, it's almost like sabotage. You're trying to sabotage it. You're keeping on. You start the game again with Cope Miners and Nico Gonzalez. When you in Bangula, I don't know if Yildiz is hurt, but why is he not playing? I'm just, and lack of words. I just can't put my frustration, my emotions into, I can't collect them properly to just, spit it out, but it's aggravating. I just can't believe it. It's lack of heart. We come out at halftime. You see Mota with his head down, back coming onto the pitch. And it's just like, seriously, it's 2-0. You see this team coming out ready again. The second half, not trying to come out and get 2 goals or 3 goals even. They're coming out just to give up, another goal. It's like, we're lucky that game wasn't 4-0 or 5-0. Easily in the first half, the game could have had more than just 2 goals. And I just can't believe it. It's disheartening.
One of the things Del Piero specifically said was our first 3 substitutions were bringing in 3 defenders. In a game where we're behind and you have Yildiz, Conceição, albeit coming back from injury, Vlahovic, and Mbangula, who did eventually make it onto the pitch. What's going on there? I mean, Zach, you're generally like our tactician, studying coaching. Give us the logic behind these keeping them on the bench.
We were joking in our chat, obviously joking not in a funny way, but in a pathetically sad way, that it was to do a 25% improvement against Atalanta. So instead of losing 4-0, it's only 3-0. Because
All right, so the next one will be 2-0.
Exactly. Against Genoa.
In four more games and we'll win 1-0.
Yeah, basically. But it's the only way it makes sense. The only way it makes sense is if Malta, and we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, whether that's right or wrong. But the only way you do that is if you fundamentally don't think that the attackers on the bench, the aforementioned, would make the positive difference for us to get back in the game. But Mota undermined that potential thing to save him by subbing on Chico and Mbangula late. So in the 74th and the 85th minute. So if we clearly had healthy wingers and we were benign at best in attack in the first half, they should have come on much, much, much earlier. You know, whatever's going on with Yildiz, I don't know what I have no idea. And we Dusan, I don't think I have any faith in him to change anything. But why are we waiting till we're 74th and 85th minute when we are down at that point 3-0, not 2-0, like we were at half, to bring in attacking help?
Well, that sounds like the coach doesn't know what the F he's doing. That's what it sounds like to me.
You know, you could say
really,
this.
No, if you do that, don't you agree? That's lack in judgment. That's just terrible.
But we've talked about this, and I think I've even kind of personally brought this up on an episode or two where it seems like he's a fish out of water and sometimes doesn't know how to respond to situations or what the next move is to make. And I mean, clearly he understands football. He's played with some very impressive clubs. He would not have earned the Juve role if he didn't understand the game. It's just very confusing when there have seemingly been obvious adjustments, obvious changes in either tactics, approach, substitutions, players to be selected. We've also talked about how it's impossible to know everything that's going on. You don't know everything that's going on in the touchline, on the bench, in training, behind closed doors. But at least from what we can see as fans in the stadium, on our couches, in a bar, or wherever, it's very confusing that he seems to be unable to make the right choices that helps the team be in a better position, either when responding to a poor game and rallying for the next time, learning from a knockout match against PSV and how to approach the one against Empoli, how you get crushed against Atalanta and how do you respond the next week against Fiorentina, when you're up against a Napoli side and you have the opportunity at halftime to make adjustments, when you're up 1-0 and you need to ensure that you go for the second goal or hold on to that before tying games against Provinciali sides. Or when there's players that seemingly put on the wrong, they have got two left feet out on the field and everybody sees that they need to be taken off to allow other people to make adjustments and come on and impact the game. And it's just, I don't know. I made a hand gesture here, like my head's about to explode. So again, if you're just listening, you're not seeing that. But Zach, am I crazy? Is he like outsmarting himself, where he's like trying to do the more clever thing?
No.
Or like what?
No. See, that's an easy no, because if he was outsmarting himself, you would see more proactivity from it. You would see some sort of affirmative action where maybe at halftime he makes 3 changes and it all implodes because he jumped the gun, so to speak. That is not what happened here. His attacking subs weren't until the 75th minute, 4th minute, when we were down 3-0. That's not somebody overthinking. That's somebody paralyzed with inaction. You have 3 defensive subs. Now, again, that would make sense if he was like, okay, so our pathway to victory is, crossing Nicola Money, or our midfield strong, and that's how we're gonna get back. We just need to clean up this player or that area. But that is not what was the case today. That was not what the case was, and he proved it by subbing attackers on later in the game. That's him. Not outsmarting himself. I go back to what I said. I think that's more paralysis and indecision in looking at the guys on the bench and not having a clear picture of what the pathway to victory is. Because if he did know what the pathway to victory was, he would have made changes at halftime, went down 2-0, as opposed to the 59th minute when it was his first subs, both defenders coming on, and when we were already down 3-0. Like, that's just. And I've criticized the subs. Today was a perfect example of a starting 11. We were chatting about it in our WhatsApp group. A strange starting 11, and then a very poor subs. And it's scaring me in a sense, because at the time of the year when you need to be the most polished, especially in light of an undefeated, albeit in the league only, February, what the hell is happening here in March? Where's any of that fight? Where is any of that form? Where's any of that determination? Where are all the lessons that we've had to date, fighting through these draws, finally equalizing our wins and draws, finally cementing fourth place, to then do this? It's really disheartening.
So let's hear from him, and Damiano. I want to get kind of your reaction. So Thiago Motta, after the match, giving up, it would be too easy to do so. I really don't like easy things. I am the most responsible for this result, but I'm the right person to lift this team. We need to win, and we will find a way to get more points and to reach our goal, which is to be among the top 4 in the championship. Do you think he's the right person? He believes he is. Do you think he is?
No. At this particular moment, I do not. Definitely not, because I almost feel like get a vibe of like sabotage in a sense. Because like you said, he played for some big clubs. He's not incompetent. He did coach for other teams in Serie before. It's not like this is something new. I mean, he wouldn't have got the job if this was brand new to him. And you're starting the game again with Cope Miners and Nico Gonzalez, who have not, it's been clear they have not produced. What are you, like, I don't understand it. We see it as fans. It's like, we were joking in the chat about, Zach was like, I'll be up for the head coaching side. I was like, I'll be your assistant, but let's be real. I mean, I'm in no position to be really an assistant coach of any kind. So I could see it, though. I see that playing these guys is not winning games. Making substitutions like this is not winning games. How are you going to sit there and say that you're the right guy for the job when it's clear as day you're not making the right decisions? What's going to change? That's my question. I mean, like, really, what if you know the answers to lift the team up, then why aren't you doing it?
What more does he need to see to find what's needed? And he finishes by saying, it's up to me to find the way, the balance, the stimulus, and the motivation so that they can enter the field and do their job. I am the right person to lift the team up again. Zach, do you think he's seen it now? Do you think after witnessing this most recent result, he's seen what he needs to drive the appropriate changes?
If he look, the question's silly because he's had all season, right? And it's still just so baffling to me that you have this great run of form, and then his starting 11 was weird. The way they came out in both halves was weird. The performances was toothless, point to the point of pointless. So I don't know what it is that has happened over the last couple of weeks, since the calendar changed to March. But something seems to be unraveling. More so, I think, in the confidence and motivation in the players. And I think part of this slide, or part of some of our struggles is getting the best out of the players. And we've been better when we haven't played with Coop. We've been better when we haven't played lately with Nico, who's over the last few weeks been terrible, despite as much as I like him. Where his yield is, Where is Mbangula starting? When is Chico starting? It's just, again, comes down to these strange decisions when at the point where we thought we were, or at least looked to be, where we were hitting a period of good form. And that makes me concerned. I've been unwavering in my support for the quote unquote project and Mota December 31st, 2025. I've said all these things with the mind that you're going to see growth and improvement over the course of the season, certainly in the offseason, come into the next year with a degree of consistency. But these last two results, and I don't put too much importance on a single result, but back-to-back gutless performances are the beginning signs that there could be a fundamental difference or a fundamental break between the dressing room and the coach, because he's not getting the best out of these players, and he doesn't seem to be putting them in a position to be successful either.
Well, it's you. So the starting lineup for one thing. If I'm a player and every starting lineup is different, and people who are clearly out of form, even though you support your teammates, you know when somebody's in form and out of form, and you see out of form players continually start ahead of you. If you're Mbangula and you're Yildiz fighting for kind of that left side of the attacking lineup, and you see Nico in there week in and week out, not performing, like, how does that make you feel? And just this concept of playing players in their natural positions to get the best out of them, like, that should be a fundamentally kind of embraced approach for coaches, especially when you're going through a difficult moment of getting the best out of your players. And let's assume Conceição is not ready to start. Let's assume Yildiz has some injury or just not in the right place to be starting if he is truly unavailable. We had the players to do a true 4-3-3 with everybody in their natural position, with Kalulu in right back, a Vega Gatti center back pairing, Cambiasso on the left, McKennie, Thuram, Locatelli in the midfield, and then Mbangula, Kolomuani, and Timothy Weah in a right wing position if Conceição is not available. What is so controversial about taking the players you have and putting them in their natural position versus this weird 3-5-2, 4-4-2 mess of I can't comprehend it. I can't comprehend it.
The funny thing is, and again, funny not in a hilarious standpoint, funny as in depressing.
Not ha funny.
No, more like boo-hoo funny. I think other teams are figuring us out. We offer no creativity going forward, so they can just sit back, let us pass around the box doing absolutely nothing until we make a mistake, and then break on us. It was what killed us early in the season, and it's what killed us lately against Atalanta. They just waited for us to make unforced errors. Kelly passing the ball right to the other team. Dushan's assist. You're right. Today, it was the same type of thing. We had 70% possession for most of the game against a possession-hungry Florence. They just let us have the ball at home, knowing we do nothing with it, and then would break us down because we don't have the discipline. Like, we've become predictable, and we have no threat going forward. You can tinker and tweak all you want, but we still haven't fundamentally solved, but for that period of time where Kolomuani was hot, the attacking woes of this team. And it makes me really concerned. Again, thinking about the team, thinking about Mota, even thinking about Genoa, who I believe is our next game. If we can't provide some more creativity up front, any attacking threat, then these next games or the end of the season is going to be tough because we're red. What we bring out there is obvious, and what we don't is equally so.
What's worse is we actually have players that we could do different things. We could do a 4-4-2 and maybe play, Vlahovic and Kolomuani up top together, where they're not in, just Duchan playing up top and Colomwani as a winger or whatever. It's like we have the ability, we have players that we can be unpredictable. That's the sad part.
It's when we're in this position where we are obviously in the most difficult and troubling position of this season. What a better way to get the most out of your players, again, by just putting players in their best position on the field with comfort, not being creative, not putting people in weird. It's just, I don't know. I'm repeating myself.
But
it's almost just like this focus of just like get back to basics and put people where they should be playing.
I mean,
Do you guys mind if I revisit? Sorry, Zach.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'll revisit the Serie A standings right now. So Napoli again, right? They failed to win. So Inter is 64 points, Napoli 61, 58 Atalanta. Bologna is now fourth. So we're not even in fourth anymore. So they're 53 after their amazing win.
Marvelous today.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, the beating up of Lazio. And we're in fifth with 52 points, 51 Lazio in sixth. So,
Went from a 6-point gap to a 12-point back in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and if you read the news this week, they kept telling us how important fourth place finish is financially, and now it's in jeopardy.
Yeah, we've talked again about. I'm going to go back quickly. We've talked about Mota, about his subs. We've talked about sort of the tenor of the team. I want to go back to these players because, and I want y'all's opinion on this. But to me, it just they seem clueless. Maybe not clueless, but scared or demotivated or some combination of the above. And to just give you some examples. One. In both Atalanta and Fiorentina, after each goal, the gameplay and the energy never changed. Okay, there was no reaction on the pitch. Okay, even before halftime. Okay, so like So I kind of want to excuse Mota from the discussion for just a second and focus on the players. No reaction, and then secondarily today, with all of our possession, we saw people making runs forward into the channel over and over and over and over and over again, calling for the ball. And either whether it be the defender or whether it be someone like Locatelli who likes to those long passes, would take the safe option, pass it to the nearest guy who would inevitably pass it right back, promoting this cycle of pointless possession. Infuriating me because you have these runs. If you're going to pass 50 times around the box and cough it up and allow yourself to get broken, might as well just do the riskier pass into the channel and see what happens. Give a guy a chance to make a play. But we're not seeing that. And to me, I don't know if they're told don't do that, which seems weird because we've seen them do it in the past, or whether this is indicative of a lack of confidence, a hesitation, or some sort of devolution, if that is that a word, of these players mindsets in light of the drubbing that happened against Atalanta. Because I see no pride. I see no fight. I see no insistence or resistance to the defeat in the players. I see just a concession. All right, well, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. Hopefully something will change, without putting the responsibility on themselves that they need to be the ones to make the change.
I think it's all confidence.
And I think it's a young team, but there are also no clear leaders in this group, which I think is there's two issues with that. One, it's with the management allowing the squad to develop in this way. But two, it's also on the players for not stepping up and filling a void and taking advantage of an opportunity, particularly after we pushed our captain out the door, who, despite Danilo not being on the podium next to other Juve captains of times past, but he was still a leader. He knew what it meant to wear this kit.
Hey,
And
he used to post pictures of him reading on the couch with glasses on. I'm sorry. That was my captain.
but on the pitch, he knew what it meant, right? And
Oh, I'm not making fun of him.
people
He was a
have
great he was a great guy. He was a great leader. I completely agree with you. We had some kind of a fatherly figure. And when people mention, "Oh, Locatelli is our come on. Would you want Locatelli to be your leader? No offense to him, but he's a nice guy, I'm sure, but he's kind of like
But here's my bone to pick,
he's
and I'm glad you brought that up, because for those of you who have listened throughout this season, uh, I've been complimentary of Locatelli. I've sung his praises, that he's stepped up and has shined a bit better under Malta. That has not quite been the case in these last couple games, but having been a Bianconero his entire life, right? Like, knowing what it means to be a part of this club and to represent it, and the burden that comes with it as well, but also the opportunity. He gets to wear that captain's armband. This is a moment where he had an opportunity to really step up. And after the Atalanta match, I don't know exactly what the question was, but it was something around a missed opportunity with the 6-point kind of gap that they found themselves in. And he mentions something to the effect of, and if you guys heard the quote, please correct me if I'm misrepresenting this. I can't find it right now. Something like, well, in the locker room, we had a more balanced approach. We were being more realistic about our opportunities and weren't focused like too much on the 6-point gap. Pardon my colorful language, but are you fucking kidding me? You're the captain of Juventus. You've got a 6-point gap. You've been knocked out of the Champions League. You've been knocked out of the Coppa Italia. You have an opportunity at home to make a statement game against a top 4 rival. And you're approaching it with a balanced approach. And that you're not going to go out and win that game, and anything other than that is not acceptable.
I called Locatelli out, Kevin, to be the leader after Danilo won.
Yeah,
like
me too.
there didn't seem to be any other candidates. I'm like, Locatelli has to stand up. Now I'll ask you guys. I only saw one player out on the pitch today over the course of the entire game actually trying to get people to pick up the pace or to play quicker or to get the ball upfield. Did any of you see anybody doing that? Because I saw only one player on our team.
Say his name on 3. 3, 2, 1. Say the name.
3, 2, 1. Coop.
Weston McKennie. Okay.
Point is,
new segment.
No, but this is kind of my point. Is neither of us said Locatelli.
No.
Okay, we can talk about. I know Damiano can give a dissertation on Coop Miners, but at least he was trying to get the team to pick up the pace, to move the ball forward. He was one of the guys making runs in the channel that was never fed. Weston, we know with his work rate, is a type of guy who's trying to get the team moving. Our captain is not the one who's energizing our team, is not the one who's out there trying to rally the troops and trying to say, we are better than this. The fans deserve better than this. The shirt you're wearing and the badge on your shirt deserves better than this. He's not doing it. And yes, we probably will eulogize this season when we look at individual players, and we'll say that Locatelli's had a great year, certainly relative to his Allegri years past. But what we need right now is a leader. And he, wearing the captain armband week after week, game after game now, is the leader that we need. And he is not stepping that role to be that on-field general that we desperately require to revert whatever mind state they're in, this fog or whatever it is, these last 2 games, and spark a bit of energy, spark a bit of personal pride and collective effort to change our fortunes. Because it's not going to happen magically. Playing the same way that you have over the last 2 games where you've conceded 7 goals and scored none is not the answer.
He looks defeated out there, though. Like, he looks like he comes out. I don't see any like ambition, the team looks defeated on an internal level, if that makes sense.
That's why I said
Absolutely.
it looks like there's rot there. There's somewhere in their minds, in the locker
Exactly.
room, in the somewhere that's festered and is eating away at all of the hard work that they've done. I cannot believe in March, after all of the hard work this team has done to salvage their season, cement forth, that this is the response, that they worked all of this for this. They are letting
And let's
everybody
not
down.
forget. Let's not forget that they might have been also intimidated by the atmosphere and going to Fiorentina. But
Intimidated
didn't you
at
mention
home against Atalanta.
We had one supporter.
Or
Zach, didn't
intimidated
you mention
in Florence with half a stand? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Didn't you mention that we have all away games? So it's not looking good. Fourth
No,
place, right?
The quote unquote better talent, or that were teams that we're playing, I should say. But your Roma, your Lazio, and your Bologna are all away. Just to be clear, Farhad. So yeah, those are
We might
going to
be
be
lucky to get
tough
3
matches.
points from those 3 matches.
It all comes to
Genoa is next.
Genoa is next, but I think our bigger opponents,
I
quote
see.
unquote,
I see what you mean.
are away.
We let me break it to you. We don't have weaker opponents, my friend. Just look at the record this year, right?
But I think, Kevin, it comes down to, and we had this conversation in January, right? We weren't feeling confident. How many points are we going to get? We had Napoli, Atalanta, Milan. At that time, and we got 4 points out of those when a lot of us were predicting 1 or 2. I think it all comes down to addressing and being honest, the players and the coach being honest with themselves collectively and individually of why this stuff happened. If people stick their head in the sand or they are prideful or defensive, they're never going to solve whatever it was that caused these 2 horrendous performances. I think a period of reflection and self-criticism and a collective effort to drag themselves out is what's going to be required. And if they do it, anything is possible. This team has showed that they have the resilience in certain games to come back. Your Inter games, both Inter games, your Leipzig games. There's several other examples. It's also shown that they can hold on to leads. February was that, but they also showed us in the last 2 games that they if they are not mentally prepared, tactically prepared, and resilient, are subject to falling off. So it's up to them to solve. Which version of them are we going to see on the way? February, these last 2 games, March, or some mixture of the months before, and we'll have to wait and see.
Well, Giuntoli feels that we can get out of this. We are convinced that we can all get out of this together. So this takes us to our kind of
finish. The next question was, what was that? He said that, but what would they asked him with Mota?
Yeah, we'll get there. So this takes us to our third kind of quote and post-match commentary to analyze to wrap up this episode. So we started with Del Piero, we went on to Malta, now we finish with Cristiano Giuntoli. Forward with Malta, we have lost balance, but the Champions League is still possible. In these moments, we all have to stay united. Go ahead and tell that to Curva Sud and the people going to paying money to watch the game at the stadium. If we all go out together, the manager, as he was telling this to Sky, we played 2 games below level of the opposition in a year of ups and downs, and we are very disappointed. But we are convinced that we can get out of this together. Always with Malta, of course. We started
what
do
they mean together? What are we supposed to do, right?
We started from afar with a project that has rejuvenated the squad and lowered the salaries and the age with a gap in experience. So we always expected to have some difficulties. Now, however, we have nothing else to think about other than getting into the Champions League, which is a primary and achievable objective.
Not playing like the way we've been.
Nope. But look, do you want some optimism here?
International break?
No, yeah, optimism. We don't have to watch.
We don't have to watch this next weekend. There's some optimism.
I can't top that. The fact is that seasons are long and there are periods. Maybe the international break is hitting at the right time. You can shake off this bullshit and start anew. The team has shown over the
Or
course
with
of
a
the season.
psychologically weak team, they sit there and it just like consumes them for the next 2 weeks. With Locatelli not being called up to the national team as well, it's going to sit with him.
I hope it wouldn't sit with a player at least who's of his level of expertise. But honestly, or experience, I should say, we'll find out. From an optimistic spin, seasons are long. We've seen so many different phases of this Juventus this year. There's been a roller coaster ride, and right now we're at a very downward, or at least we're at hopefully at a valley in that roller coaster ride. And so, when you look at Florence, I mean, they scored on some 3 kind of low percentage goals, I think, in general, at least when you look at the numbers, expected goals, theirs was like 0.3. They scored on all 3 shots on goal. You can argue that despite everything I said about level of energy and all that stuff, that this is the type of game by the numbers that we would have drawn or won earlier in the season. The team can't take a look at adversity or cannot respond to adversity by getting down on themselves. The international break is a perfect time for them to do that level of reflection that I called for, to find out what it is that they're here for, what it is that means to put on the shirt, and to find the motivation and drive, whether it be individual because they hate Mota, or whether it's also a collective effort, which ideally it would be. There is plenty of time to, and I say that, week or two to figure it out and turn the page, because it just takes one game. It just takes one outing. It just takes one moment to flip the script on a period of bad form.
And touching on Zach's point, I think that kind of it brings Giuntoli into the question. If Mota lost the locker room at this point, it's up to Giuntoli or somebody somebody to get this team together in a room and lay it out. If we got to make Champions League, and there are some, we have some big changes ahead, and that not in the good way. So somebody needs to snap it into him. Somebody's got to do it. And if it's not going to be Bonta, obviously at this point, it's got to be somebody else. And Giuntoli, it's next in line.
And what makes me think they're going to stick with Mota is that they would have fired him by now.
Financially, though, I think it's, going to be a struggle if we don't make Champions League.
Well, financially, it'd be tough to fire him, first off. And then secondarily, you need somebody to come in as a fixer, your Ranieri type of thing, like he's doing at Roma. Someone to come in and to see out the season in a way that's going to maintain your sporting goals and growth. And I don't think the candidate's necessarily there to finish the season. Certainly when you're in the hunt with 2 months to go, that you firing the coach might light a fire under the players' butts for one game. We saw that with Milan, right, in the Supercopa. But it takes an actually good manager to get a message across super quickly to then go out and win the next match, because we need to. And that is an enormous amount of risk. After the players have already put together 40-odd games together in this form. Whether you like it or not, that level of consistency provides at least a starting point or a foundation with which to build on, which over the course of the season, more times than not, they have been at minimum decent to put out a decent product. We're just sitting at a point at a terrible time of the season where we've seen maybe our 2 worst performances back to back. With our Benfica match and our Napoli second half mixed in. You can't. It's really hard to fire the coach now because there's no replacement. You're shooting the project in the foot. You're shooting your season in the foot. You're shooting a lot of player confidence. That's gone.
No, I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying the signs are there that kids, be ready to have Mota as your coach next year, because I feel like they would have found someone, because 4th place is just a must by now. And if this is his reaction, 7 goals in 2 games, I mean, you got to do something. So maybe they are sticking with him.
So
get ready. It's going to be a long summer.
I want to close with each of you, and maybe myself included, sharing one thing that needs to change for us in order to secure minimally fourth place. So if you were to look at one thing, whether it's something tactically, whether it's with the player, whether it's with moving out the coach, what's one thing you want to see change with this team holistically in order to finish this season in the best possible way?
You
Zach, let's
feel
start with
the
you.
women's team. Guarantee you they will win more than the men.
Girelli would come out there and run circles around players. She's
Come on, it's
fire.
March. Let's do the ultimate. Celebrate the women's month.
No, they are playing well. But to go with my theme of this episode, which has been the focus on the players. My answer to your question, Kevin, is that each player needs to find, whether it's the point of pride or their motivation to go out there, put on the Juventus badge and give their all, because the players we've seen the last two games have been on cruise control, an indifferent, soulless effort, and they need to find out what it means to be a Juventus player, to wear this badge, to play for this team, and demonstrate that on the pitch for the rest of the season. That's the starting point for me.
Damiano.
It's hard for just to say one thing, but yeah, I think they need to, I would say, put the best lineup out there and the best to win games. Even though, yeah, Zach, I feel I agree with it's that we got to find the pride. We go out there heartless and without pride. So each player needs to find it within themselves, their purpose on that pitch, regardless of, what their feelings are with the team, or like what they're at the moment, but they got to find their purpose. But I think, yeah, we got to field the right team too, to give us the best chance to win.
So Zach, you're saying that the players have to do an internal search to find what motivates them, what drives them, what it means to play for Juventus, and truly internalize that to come out and give it everything you have. Damiano, you're saying just put the best 11 on the pitch, put players in the right place, get the best out of this unit, and make the sum of the parts kind of better than just the individuals. Farhad, what would you do, man? One thing.
I told you.
Field the women's team.
Field the women's team.
I stick by it. Yeah.
Okay. Field the women's team.
I'll stick to that.
Bonacea and Girelli coming out to light up these last 7 or 8 rounds.
Not just feel silly, giving them advice. Obviously, coach needs to step up and step up big. Motivate the crap out of them. I mean, what else can you do? These guys are under so much scrutiny. You need to, maybe he's still young as a man. He doesn't feel like he can motivate a bunch of 20-something-year-olds. But yeah, somebody mentioned the leaders. Literally 4 or 5 players, if they step up their game, I feel like it's salvageable still. So maybe not the whole team, but 3 or 4 or 5 people need to step up and just win out. We can't afford to not be in a Champions League. And yeah. We'll see. We'll see who steps up. I guess we'll see who's the hero in a few weeks.
I think we're going to need a couple if this is going to work out to finish top 4. And look, I mean, from my perspective, if it's not like giving Malta the boot and bringing in somebody else to initiate some change, and like as I've mentioned, right, it's I don't want to get on this like hashtag coach out. Like it's just it's annoying, not productive. I do, in the same breath, struggle to see what's going to be different and how the coach gets the team motivated, puts the best team on the pitch, and has the right guidance and direction for how these professionals who have probably been playing the sport since they were 3 years old to get the best out of them. And after the countless draws against teams that you should be beating, after some of the very disappointing matches in the Champions League, the 2 knockout games that we played in quick succession, and throwing away this, what did Beppe say? We had like a 1.36% chance of winning.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's way less now.
What else does he need to see in order to like have this moment where he's going to get the best out? So like at this point, I do think a change in coach would put us in a better position to close out the season and have.
I agree, and that happens in
finishing top 4, because like right now, all we're seeing is downward movement. Everything has gone down. Champions League is out. Coppa Italia is out. We've
and now we're losing this. We're losing the top 4.
Every opportunity we've had to do something to take a step forward, we're missing that chance. And at this,
it happens all the time.
And
sorry, Kevin, I will let you get back, but it happens all the time in the NFL. Coaches are fired mid-season, and those guys, the owners, don't want to lose the money, so they bring in someone to salvage the season. And you can see, at least for the next 3-4 games, until the adrenaline wears out of playing for a new coach and a new system, they are successful a lot of the times. And I agree with you, bringing in someone new,
because if we finish 5th or 6th, we miss out on that Champions League revenue. The financial pressure with our buddies at Exord not putting in a capital infusion. This is on the team to be managed responsibly and to achieve sporting results. We miss out on Champions League, we're going to have to sell players. We lose all leverage. We're going to be selling from a point of desperation, which is a terrible place to be. What are you going to get for Vlahovic? What are you going to get for Yildiz? What are you going to get for Cambiaso? Are you going to be able to offload Douglas Luiz? You're going to have to sell younger talent like Mbangula in order to have the books balanced. And then what do we have going into the following season? It's just the cost of missing out on this is absolutely huge.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just the financials; it's the transfers, and you if you don't have the Champions League, it's extremely difficult to bring in players, and they just don't want to play in Serie A and whatever Europa League, So no, I completely agree with you on that point.
I do think, and thank you, man. I do think this one of the biggest failures or struggles under Malta's system, and we've talked about it here, but I'm going to call it out explicitly, is how we perform in the opposition third when we have possession. I bet if all of us were to take a couple hours to look at every single goal that we've scored this year, the majority of them are on the break. They have not been with 57 passes up around the box, breaking down the opposition, and then finally finding that like good cross, the quick 1-2. We've had a few. Most of them have been on the break. What have been some of our best games of the season that we will remember in a terrible season? It's Leipzig. It's the 4-4 draw with Inter. It's the 1-0 victory over Inter. It's the Manchester City win. Those games had goals on the break where we had with speed, we had intent, and we went after it. In a lot of those games, we actually didn't even have 50% possession, or it was some of our lower ones. These games where we're at 70%, we had 2 shots on target today with nearly 70% possession. We don't have a clue what to do with the ball when we're in control of the ball. And that's what Malta was supposed to do, this possession-based, this proactive approach, hold on to the ball, and it's just backwards, it's sideways, we don't have a clue what to do when the air is taken out of the ball and we have our foot on it and we're trying to break down teams. We don't have a clue, and he hasn't been able to get that out of the team. We're stuck.
It's agonizing. It's painful.
So we said we were going to do this in kind of a half hour, 45 minutes, and here we are approaching an hour here. Any last words, guys?
I'm worded out, man. I'm worded out.
Yeah, it's depression mode. Here we go. Thank God for international break. Hopefully Italy could do something and just get my mind off of this, because something's got to be done in these next 2 weeks, a week and a half, whatever it is.
Farhad?
Enjoy the drama. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe next year it's Conte time. A lot of comments. We've had a lot of coach talk on Instagram at Turin Giants, and I'm even doing a little thread on Instagram about Conte and just his pictures in the Juventus jersey and the captain's armband. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm aware that he's terrible in Europe. Maybe if we even have it, So yeah, enjoy the drama. It's been a fun season. We're definitely weeding out the last batches of Ronaldo fans who stuck around. This is just like a skeleton crew of fans now. Oh, there you go. Kevin's showing his Ronaldo jersey. Like this is pretty low. This is pretty low for Juve. So I mean, we've become a banter club if you read the comments, and it only means one thing: there's nowhere to go but lower. So just enjoy enjoy the rise again, I guess.
Hey man, we'll be there. We'll be there with everybody through it. So you rain or shine, you can still listen to us.
Yeah. And speaking of that, somebody on Reddit thanked us for. Sorry, just real quick. Zach mentioned, we'll be there no matter what. Somebody said that you guys do these podcasts, and season 13 now, doing this since 2013. Yeah, we've been through bad times. So thank you guys, whoever's listening now. I know the listens are lower when we're doing terribly, but whoever's listening, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and if you have made it this far in the episode, God bless you. But if you want to look down at your phone or on your device and give us a 5-star rating, like, subscribe, follow us, that means the world to us. Thank you.
YouTube is important for us.
Absolutely. We have mentioned that in addition to some of these negative, sobering post-game wrap-ups, we also want to throw in some other kind of broader topic pods with more people, with some guests, maybe reflecting on Juve folklore, some fun facts, and more open discussion that isn't just focused on a specific match. So Farhad's in the work of pulling another one of those together, and we want to do more of those beyond just a match breakdown.
Yeah, so a little behind the scenes, these posts are very important to get the immediate reaction of the guys. And also, I love creating a podcast that's not game oriented. We discuss the news, play some games, discuss top 10 lists, do some shenanigans. So yeah, definitely. I'm working on an episode on Wednesday. So like Kevin said, if you made it this far, first of all, Alessandro Belpiero thanks you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
All right, we'll leave it there. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve.
Forza Juve.
Purple Finest. Yeah, siamo finiti in B, gli unici a pagare per calciopoli. Yeah, e qui non ci piove, che nel cuore di scudetti sono 29. Mollo tutto e tutti, solo per seguirti. Bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero. Un solo grido, dalla curva si alzerà. Bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero, bianco nero. Per 29 volte campioni d'Italia, per niente e nulla al mondo abbandonerò sta squadra. Tra tutte quante di fissa più stile, storia di un amore senza una fine.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
Mission